Okay, we are at the hour, and if you want to turn us on for recording purposes, let me know when we're good to go.
We are recording.
Okay.
And they just ask that people, yeah. I would think
Right. So, good morning, everyone. I'm Jim Cavanaugh, Douglas County Commissioner, and this is the Douglas County Board's Health and Human Service Committee hearing. A copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted on the wall here, and this meeting is being recorded and is available via Zoom for those who want to join us electronically. There's also a chat app if you want to submit questions. We'll get to that in a little bit. We have an agenda that's publicly posted, and it's very straightforward. This hearing has to deal with using the CARES fund that Douglas County received from the federal government for rent assistance and utility assistance. The General Assistance Office will be helping in the administration of these programs, particularly with the rent assistance portion of the CARES appropriation that we're dealing with. We have a group of folks here from the county who will be addressing us. Patrick Bloomingdale is our Chief Operating Officer?
Chief Administrative Officer.
Chief Administrative Officer. He will be leading off with kind of an overview, I think, of just where we are in terms of CARES funding, and then we'll drill down to these two particular initiatives following up. So, Patrick, could you help us?
So we've been working diligently, particularly Melissa, with Deloitte and our finance director and our IT people to prepare to get the rental assistance program up and running. In addition to all of the other things that we're working on with the CARES Act, that's been our priority, is the rental assistance. It's amazing how much goes into this. So, Melissa...
I guess we'd ask people to mute their...
Please mute your phones.
Your phone,
your
so there's no feedback.
computer.
Thank you. Diane Carlson, could you please mute? Thank you.
So, okay, so what we did was Melissa has a PowerPoint presentation that she has copies of. If she hasn't already handed out, she can do that now. And we'll go through that just to show how much, the progress we've made and where we're headed to get that up and running. And then we can talk about the other items as well. I can say this has easily been, in all my years, the biggest project that we've undertaken. We've had some bond issues, and we've had other things, but this has just been, it's been pretty amazing. It's a very good project, a very rewarding project, but it's pretty big. It's the biggest thing I've seen. So we'll start with rental assistance, and then we'll go from there.
So, thank you, Patrick. We have a presentation from the Director of General Assistance, Melissa Soick. And Melissa, could you walk us through this PowerPoint, please?
Yes, absolutely. So just to start, obviously, it's a Douglas County CARES Rental Assistance Program. Some of this we went over at the last board meeting. So the Douglas County CARES Rental Assistance Program is set to provide funds to assist low-income eligible county residents with unpaid rent due to a COVID-19 related hardship. This program is intended to stabilize housing for the low income. We have low income as 80% AMI, the area median income or below, which that is a HUD definition. And those at greatest risk to lose due to the loss of employment and or the loss of work due to COVID-19. This program's assistance shall not exceed 3 months of a household's rental need and or a maximum benefit of $3,000, whichever comes first. That last part, as far as the max benefit, that's something we are also evaluating just now, because if we're looking at paying rent for April 1st, potentially forward, we're now into 4 months, so we are looking at possibly raising that to 3 months of assistance, max benefit of $4,000.
So you said you mean 4 months?
Oh, 4 months,
assistance?
yes, 4 months.
Yeah,
4
and,
months.
and my recommendation would be to, we're gonna have this on next Tuesday, it's a CARES Act update, but it also says action can be taken. So I think that we should increase it to 4 months and, would you say $4,000?
Yes, 4 months and $4,000.
And that obviously means that 10 million will go faster, but we have more money than that the county board can allocate if it's needed. So I just think because it takes a while to get this up and running, I think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I agree.
Very good idea.
So the general requirements for the program is a person has to be a Douglas County resident, a U.S. citizen or qualified resident alien. As we discussed in the board meeting 2 weeks ago, that is something that we have found to be a mandate. So again, we're continuing to look into that, and if we don't have to ensure that this person is a U.S. citizen or a qualified resident alien, we are not going to have that in there.
Yeah,
But
and
as
I
of
don't
right
think,
now,
and I'll just say, I'm sorry to interrupt you, I'll just say that we're at the point now, I just don't think that there's any way, from everything we've seen nationwide and talking to our consultants and our legal, I just don't see a way, as much as I would love to have it happen, I don't see that there's a way we can waive that requirement and still be compliant with the federal guidelines. So I think that that's where we're at now, is that we're going to have to keep that, unfortunately, we're going to have to keep that requirement in there.
and the other one has a household income below the 80% of area median income before COVID-19. Again, that aligns with the definition of a person that is low income. Again, we're trying to target a certain population, and so that's where that 80% comes in. And the next slide, I have the breakdown of what that 80% looks like. The applicant is listed on the rental/lease agreement. Income was negatively impacted by COVID-19, inability to pay rent due to COVID-19, and not currently receiving the extra $600 per week stimulus benefit for unemployment insurance.
Let me just ask on that.
Yes.
So, I used to work in unemployment insurance. I have a fair idea of how it operates. If I am on unemployment insurance, are you saying that that would preclude me from being?
No. It's if you're receiving on unemployment and receiving the extra $600 per week. And that extra $600 per week stimulus benefit is set to expire on July 25th. But there are people that are on unemployment that are not receiving that additional $600 per week benefit.
Right. So is that a statutory requirement of the CARES Act?
No, and it's something that the county board,
Yep.
I mean, if the county board wants to, I mean, that's what we're seeing. I mean, we try to fashion this after what others are doing. So that's what we're seeing, but certainly if the county board wants to, that's another one thing that the county board could waive if it wants to. That just simply means, again, the money will go faster, we'll be able to take less applications, but that's just the initial 10 million. Obviously the county board could, allocate additional money and take additional applications. So it's really up to the board how they want to handle it.
Right. And I think that that's something that we'll consider. People who are on unemployment insurance, whether they're receiving the 600 or not, are obviously, suffering from the COVID pandemic economically. And so I think that if it's not a statutory requirement, the fact that we have $166 million, of which this is less than 1%, will give us some leeway to adjust some of these suggested requirements.
And then this next slide just shows what 80% of the area median income for Douglas County is. It's broken out by persons in the household, and then you can find that amount, and that's just for the reference of.
So, one person with a $48,750 income is at 80% of the average median income, is that correct?
Yes.
And are these requirements of the CARES Act?
No, it is not. This is just what we looked at throughout everybody, all the different counties and cities and nonprofits that are administering rental assistance through CARES. It's the majority of them are at that 80% area median income because they're focused on the low income individuals within their county or city.
Okay. Again, this is probably something we'll discuss. I mean, the pandemic has had such a wide footprint in terms of impact that it's not just low income people, it's middle income people, it's, a huge number of our society. So it's something that I understand that other jurisdictions might have looked at this. It's not required by law, and so we'll probably revisit this as well, but thank you.
The required documentation is a photo ID. They have to demonstrate a financial hardship in the form of a pay stub or income documentation prior to job loss or reduction in income due to COVID-19. Pretty much what we're asking them is a pay stub prior to March 2020, and then also a pay stub unemployment.
I'm sorry, again, would you please mute if you're not actually speaking? We're getting some feedback from people who aren't muted.
And then to show that they have had a loss in income or hours, it's just a furlough letter, a letter from employer showing that reduction, unemployment documentation, things such as that. A copy of their current lease, verification from landlord stating the amount and months of rent is owed. If they have it, a notice to vacate or eviction, a completed W-9 from the landlord. We need that in order to make payment. And then we're asking all of the landlords to attest that they will not evict for non-payment for the months that they have received assistance through the COVID-19 rental assistance program. Last thing we want to see is us pay back rent and then for the client to be, or the individual to be evicted right after that.
Very good. And relative to these requirements, just so that we can kind of keep track going through this, which are statutory requirements under the CARES Act?
Well, they have to be impacted by COVID-19, and the way that we are showing that they are impacted by COVID-19 is that financial hardship. So that's something that we have to verify for the CARES Act. Mm-hmm. As far as being able to pay rent somewhere, we have to know that they are actually living there and they're the house that they are on the lease. So that's something that we have to know. We have to have that W-9. As far as a statement from the landlord saying they will not evict, that is not mandatory, but we think that is the right thing to do. We obviously need the photo ID as well. So everything we're asking from them, we need to be able to verify that the assistance is going to who it's supposed to in compliance with the CARES Act. We are not having them supply documentation just to jump through an additional hoop. We're trying to make this as easy as possible for everybody involved.
Sure. So just to recap, the CARES Act requires a photo ID, is that right?
We have to verify their that they are who they are and they are a U.S. citizen, so that is something that we have to.
I'm sorry, you have to verify what?
That they are a U.S. citizen, so that is something that we're using to verify who they are.
And then demonstrate the financial hardship is COVID related, right?
Yes.
And then a copy of a current lease with their name on it?
Yes.
And then completed W-9 from the landlord?
Correct.
Okay. Those are the statutory requirements of the items that we list here?
Yes, that's it, yeah, to make sure that we are in compliance, correct.
Okay.
The next slide is just kind of how the rental assistance process is going to look. First off, the applicant will use the Douglas County website to apply for assistance. Then once that application is submitted, a notification is going to be sent to their landlord. We're asking for contact information for the landlord, and that email will go to them notifying them that a tenant of theirs has applied for assistance and that we need them to fill out that W-9, and it will provide the link to the W-9, and it will also is where they will attest that they are not going to evict that person if we pay rent for those months. They are also going to have to attest that how much money is owed for what months that is, just so we can kind of cross-reference and make sure that the information is correct. We're asking about if there's any late fees, things such as that. It's fairly simple. Once that is submitted, the application is going to go to a Deloitte staff member. We have level 1 being the person that will process the application. The level 2 is going to be a second set of eyes on that application. So it will be reviewed by the level 1 Deloitte staff, making sure that we have everything we need everything looks legit. And then the level 2 will just review it, be another additional set of eyes, like I said. And then from there, it will go to the Douglas County General Assistance Department to do the final quality control review. And we are working on that right now of how that's going to look. But it's just, again, just making sure everything looks good very quickly. And then we are going to submit for payment. And that would go, that's being done by Douglas County General Assistance as well. And then from there, payment submitted to the approved landlord for rent. So we are going to submit it, it will go to the clerk's office, and we hope to have rent payment once it's approved within 2 weeks from the application approval. We just say 2 weeks because we want to account for, depending on when we issue payment, we might have just missed, the cutoff. But typically it'll be within a week of the approval that the landlord will get payment. We're also accounting for mail time. All of them will be paper checks as well, again, just to speed up the process.
Great. As to the applicant using the Douglas County website, what if they don't have access to electronic media? How do they apply?
We've looked at doing paper applications, but
Could you speak up a little, please?
yes, we're looking to do paper applications as well, but again, it's first come, first serve, so that's just going to be an additional barrier. Our whole hopes is we know that a lot of people in the community work with local nonprofits, that this is what they do anyway, is help their clients apply for different assistance programs that are available in the community. This is just an additional assistance program. They can be assisted with that. If there are some people, we've thrown out the idea of maybe having a kiosk in our office where we have extra computers where we can have somebody come and apply. Or, what other counties are doing, they have on their thing, ask a friend, ask a family member. Doing it online is the most efficient and effective way to do it. And again, even if we do paper applications, that's just going to take longer for that client to get that filled out, get it submitted to us. So that is something we are talking about, but right now it looks like it's going to be completely electronic.
Yeah, I think that might be something that we'll want to revisit because some people are probably not going to have access to that. I understand what you're saying where they can perhaps access some resources in the community to help them with that. That's a good thing. We want to make it as easy as possible for everybody in need to be able to make an application, and that includes coming to your office and making an application. The process that you outline here, when does that become available?
The next slide, I'm talking about our key activities that were underway, so I can move on to that next slide.
Great.
So these are kind of the things that we are working on and that we still need to complete. We've made amazing headway throughout this whole time, but so we're in the current process of finalizing the overview for the program design to include the target population, assistance amounts, those things like you've said and we've talked about. We need final approval from the board, so that hopefully will be next week. We'll get all of that. We are finalizing the application for intake, the review and approval process, just technical assistance process, and communication protocols between Deloitte and the department, clerk's office, all of that. We're finalizing the program documentation. That's going to include the program overview, program guidelines, frequently asked questions, and program application. All of those things are going to be on the website that we'll have for everybody to view. And hopefully have all of the questions answered there. We're finalizing the payment process with the clerk's office and finance right now. We're pretty much, I think, towards the end of that process. We are designing and configuring updates needed for the Douglas County website to publish the program information, providing the official link for the application process, and to share future program results. Working on publishing materials on the website for applicants to get familiar with program requirements, gather necessary supporting documents, receive technical assistance, and coordinate with landlords. We are going to put all the information up on the website as quickly as possible as far as what's needed from them, who qualifies, even if that means that we don't have the application ready yet, we're going to do that so people can prep for when we go live with the application process. Complete configuration of technology applications to intake and approve applications, process payments, provide data for required reporting, complete onboarding and training and preparations for staff to process the applications, provide technical assistance, make payments, prepare reports, and then activate the application link on the website to go live. So we do not have, we don't have a date to give you right now of an exact date of it. It's going. We are working on this. This is our main priority as far as Deloitte's process and our process. We are, like I said, we're making great headway. We're going to get it up as quickly as possible.
Okay, that's a big problem. Not having a date, we're going into the 4th month of having this money. This is a big, big, big problem. So as soon as we can have a date, that would be number one.
Well,
When can people apply? It's going on 4 months. People's utilities are going to be going into shut-off on the 1st of August. A lot of people have 3 months of arrears rent, which would eat up the entire initial outlay of their eligibility here. So when can we go online? It's a question that I'm going to keep asking every time that we come to this. It's not real until it's available.
Right, so we're hoping to have the information on the web, get the website up and running by the end of next week. And then to be able to actually take applications within a week or two after that, to actually be able to take applications. So I know that's not as fast as what people would like, but this is an incredibly complex process. This is not just a turnkey thing. I mean, we have a lot that goes into it, including making sure that our software system is protected, because we're going to be taking in social security numbers and other protected information. So I got to tell you, I mean, Melissa's gone way, above and beyond, and just to work nonstop on this with Deloitte to get this thing going. It's probably the most, I think it is definitely the most efficient way to go about doing it. So that's the best timeline we can give you now, by the end of next week, to have that website up so everybody can see what they need to do, and then within a week or two after that, have it be able to take applications.
Okay. Just for the record, that's not fast enough. 4 months is not taking 4 months for other jurisdictions to deliver rent and utilities assistance to their residents.
Well, that's the
We
best
are
we can
lagging.
do.
I'm not done talking, Patrick.
Well,
You can have your chance when I'm done. We are not moving fast enough on this, and I'm going to be pressing this. I think 2 weeks is an outrageously long time to do rent and utilities assistance that has been in the pipeline and funded fully for 4 months. 2 more weeks is not good enough. We should move expeditiously on this. We've been working on this now in this committee since May, and to say it's going to take us 2 more weeks is just not good enough. We need to move ASAP and get this to people, way before 2 more weeks goes by. Every time we have these hearings, it seems like there's a event horizon that keeps going back and back and back, and people just aren't receiving any rent and utilities assistance as a result. So for whatever we're paying Deloitte to help us, they need to start earning their bucks and stepping it up, because 2 weeks more is an unconscionable delay when we're already into the 4th month of this process. Okay, well, thank you for this. We'll be back to you if there are any questions from our viewing audience. I don't know if we have those people able to raise their hand.
Commissioner Kavanaugh?
Yes, please identify yourself. We're recording this for the record.
So this is Erin Feichtinger, Community Outreach and Advocacy at Together at 812 South 24th Street. Again, I want to reiterate what we talked about in the board meeting last Tuesday, that this program seems like it'll work and it'll get the money to the people that need it. I do want to reemphasize some concerns that I expressed last week, namely that we are still not covering the group of people at the 80 to 100% AMI. I am concerned that we're setting up systems that are requiring people to fall further in order to qualify for help. And that's already what we do in our housing system. And I think we have a real opportunity here to do more. and to intervene when people need us. As I said last week, it is much more expensive for us to help people the farther they fall than it is for us to intervene and keep them in their housing now. I keep hearing that this is what other jurisdictions are doing, this is what other communities are doing, and I have not yet heard someone say that this is what our community is saying we need. And I'm telling you that we are missing the funding that's needed for people between 80 to 100% AMI. I also just want to reemphasize that I don't think that this money should be attached to any sort of consideration of receiving other assistance. Again, I do not think that we are in a position to judge what people need and why they need it, aside from being impacted by COVID. If we're not talking to the community, then I don't know how we can make that judgment and that assessment. Otherwise, I'm happy to follow up with any other additional concerns or answer any questions that you might have. And I also, again, just want to commend Melissa on her work on this. I think you've done a really tremendous job trying to do a lot with a little, so thank you.
Well, thank you, Doctor. Just parenthetically, could people please mute their phones? We're just, constantly having a little bit of feedback, and so please mute if you're not talking. Those are good points, and I think that, the requirements that you're addressing, particularly the income requirement and the other assistance requirements, are not statutory requirements of the CARES Act. And so we have flexibility in addressing those, and I'm glad to hear that people are concerned about this, because I am too, that the pandemic has not just affected the lowest category of income, but has really affected the entire society. And there are folks that are out of work that are at 100% of the average income for the community, and they should be eligible as well. I also think that you're right about not offsetting, particularly with this unemployment benefit. These are all related to the pandemic. The reason that they're on unemployment, the reason that unemployment's been extended, and the reason that the CARES Act has been designed to provide them with this assistance. It's not if you do this, then we deduct that. That's a zero-sum game that I don't think that we're playing here. We are trying to get people through this in as good a shape as possible, and I don't think that we achieve that by deducting from one program when you access another program. Certainly, the large corporations that were recently in the paper were doing tens of millions of dollars from the CARES Act aren't being penalized in the same fashion. So I think that we should treat the average citizens at least as well as we do the large corporations that I think everybody saw in the paper the other day, who were receiving huge amounts of CARES funding, and we will proceed on that in a discussion with the full board when we come to that point, probably on Tuesday during our CARES discussion. Is there anything else, Doctor? We can move on.
I do think that, and I had sent you this recommendation as well as to Melissa and the other commissioners. There is a way to do it that we can help people up to 100% AMI, and that's by assessing their cost burden, and that's also defined by HUD. So we can say something like, an 80% AMI before COVID-19, or up to 100% AMI, who is now severely housing cost burden. So any of the documentation that's already being required could also show that you're now paying more than 50% of your income towards your housing expenses. And that's just one example of, if you want to limit the who's accessing this fund, I don't think we should limit it, but if we want to limit it, if we feel we need to, then that would be one way to make sure that we are targeting the people who need housing assistance the most. So that's just one suggestion. I'm happy to work with anyone on other solutions as well.
That's a great point, and obviously you've done the research on this. If you could forward to us just that point that you've made, and I'm sure that other jurisdictions in the nation are following that model rather than the 80% model that we're discussing here this morning. That would be helpful in our discussions going forward. So please send along any information regarding that that you can. Okay. Are there others that want to raise their hand at this point to be heard on rent assistance?
Commissioner Kavanaugh,
Yes.
it's Rick Fulton on the phone.
Okay. Could you?
I think, yes, sir.
Your last name? I'm sorry.
Fulton,
Okay.
I'm good.
You got it. Okay.
Ricky Fulton.
Very good. Thank you. Yes, sir.
So, I think you're doing a wonderful thing using this whole bunch of Fed money to help pay people's rent so they can stay in their houses through no fault of their own that they can't pay their rent. So, thank you for looking out for those people, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate your input.
Commissioner, can I just say that for the people who are on phones rather than on Zoom, if you could use *6 to mute yourself, because other people are chiming in saying that there's some feedback apparently. So so *6 to mute.
That'd be great.
And yeah.
We're trying to do this.
Jim, I don't know how to, I can't mute. I don't know how to mute, so.
Okay, well,
Talk to
just
you
be
later,
as
bye.
quiet as you can if you can't mute. I just want to run through some of the chat comments here real quick. First of all, Mark Wiseman comments, agreed with evictions proceeding, renters need help now. That's regarding we need to push this as soon as possible. Ben Salazar writes, not that participants who are only dialed in can see the chat, but please use *6 to mute. That's just what we said. We are struggling with this technology like everybody else, but we're doing the best we can. Rick Yoder says, who was providing input? Kavanaugh referred to her as doctor. That's Dr. Erin Fleischinger, and she is with Together. And then Alan Bavolka, how do we access the presentation materials? And how can we do that?
They're all posted on the clerk's website every week.
They will be on the douglascounty.com website.
The county clerk's website.
Oh, the county clerk's website, which is, do you want to give that?
Countyclerk.org.
I don't know if they can hear that.
Hang on, let me look.
Okay, we'll give that in a second
Okay.
here.
You skip this one over just so you know.
Okay.
That's bad.
Ben Salazar, has anyone come up with an option for families without legal status to access the rent assistance or any other rent assistance? Okay, the question of that is going to be considered by the whole board relative to, like these other questions, does the CARES Act require what we're requiring? We don't want to make it any harder for people than the statutorily required by the CARES Act to receive benefits. So that'll be addressed by the whole board when we finalize these requirements. And then Asit Goswami, Dr. Goswami says, thank you for working to deliver CARES money to those in need with minimal bureaucratic hurdles. And is that the total? Are we seeing everything that's in chat?
Yes, that's a total.
We're trying to balance the chat and the live Zoom ins, so bear with us. But we think we've got what's been in chat so far. So, is there anyone else that would like to Zoom comment on rent assistance at this point? Because we have.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, David Corbin.
Yes. David Corbin, Nebraska Sierra Club. My home address is 1002 North 49th Street. First of all, again, I want to compliment for allocating the money and for all the hard work that's been put into trying to make all of this work. Again, of course, the sooner the better. I am wondering about how people will know about the website and how to navigate the website. Is there any kind of public relations outreach to the organizations that help people as well as to the people themselves so that they will know how to do this?
Good question.
Yes, like I said earlier, we plan to get out the general requirements and the FAQs out on the website as quickly as possible. Part of that is going to be contacting all the local agencies. Most likely we'll do that through the Match listserv, who has connections with throughout the community with different nonprofits, different organizations that would be able to help assist the clients with these applications and be able to help share the information as well. And I would imagine it's going to be throughout the general media, it'll be on our Facebook page, things like that. We will definitely make sure it gets out to the appropriate contacts.
Thank you. The website that you can access these things on and going forward is Douglas County Clerk, all one word, .org. And that, we'll mention it again as we proceed. This is going to require a community-wide effort to get the word out. And so we're glad to have some of our local media here with us today, and they've been good at spreading the word. We're going to be addressing this ongoing in terms of our publication of this. We have $166 million to help with distributing these assistance dollars to people, but it doesn't do us any good if people don't know about it. So I think that it behooves us to take some of that and possibly use that to promote this program in local media and social media and every other way that we can. So we will be addressing that going forward to make sure that as many platforms as possible are utilized to get the word out on how people can apply, where they can apply, what the requirements are, and get it up and out as soon as possible. So thank you for that. Anything else?
Hi, Commissioner. Can you hear me all right?
Hello?
Hi, this is Kelsey Waldron with the Women's Fund of Omaha, 1111 North 13th Street. The Women's Fund just wanted to thank you for investing in rental assistance, as well as thank other county staff who have worked so hard in developing this process, particularly Melissa. We really appreciate it. Because the impact of this economic crisis has been deeper and the job loss distributed differently than previous recessions, we know many are now navigating public assistance for the first time. As such, the Women's Fund wants to support making this process criteria as flexible as possible so that those funds can reach those new populations. We've communicated with commissioners with recommendations regarding such eligibility, documentation, and use criteria for these funds, but I wanted to just uplift a couple of those considerations. First being uplifting the comments previously expressed by Dr. Erin Feichtinger around the $600 per week pandemic unemployment compensation not being included in eligibility requirements. I wanted to add one particular note about the Nebraska picture. We recognize as Nebraska was overwhelmed by a large volume of new claims, many individuals when applying for unemployment assistance experienced significant delays in having their claims paid out. And during this time, many became behind on rent, subsequently becoming out of compliance with their lease agreements and accruing very unaffordable late fees. So we recognize that even with this pandemic unemployment compensation, many will continue, particularly those living paycheck to paycheck, to face tremendous financial burden with these late fees and continue facing housing insecurity. And then the second point that I wanted to echo, I wanted to uplift Melissa's suggestion about expanding the maximum benefit limit beyond current 3-month and $3,000 limit. As that same pandemic unemployment compensation expires at the end of this month, individuals will go back to receiving regular unemployment benefits, which is half their pre-COVID salaries, and for some even less than that. And we recognize that for many, such drastic cuts to regular income will result in an inability to pay rent in these coming months. And we anticipate a new wave of housing insecurity at the end of this month because of that. We fear that with that new wave of housing insecurity, many will have already exhausted the maximum benefit allotment and still be in dire need of assistance. So we encourage commissioners to consider these recommendations as well as those that we have submitted to you by letter. And we again thank you for all your work on providing rental assistance to Douglas County residents, and we remain committed to working with you to make sure those funds get to those most in need of them. Thank you.
And thank you, Ms. Waldron. I think those are some good points, and we will be revisiting that relative to the coordination of benefits question that you raised. I agree that, you know, we're going to have beyond the scope of this initial $10 million need going forward in 2020 for rent assistance. This is, you know, the equivalent of the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So the journey to the end of the year begins with, let's get something up and going now, because we've got people that are, you know, potentially 3 months in arrears on their rent already because of COVID impact on their economic status. So I agree with you. I'm just concerned that we get something up and going as soon as possible to make this happen right now. Back to chats for a question, a couple of comments. Ben Salazar, I am discovering that many immigrants in South Omaha still don't have technology to learn of this and other forms of help because many don't have computers or access to a computer. Much of what we do is hand out flyers, media, etc. Very good point, and I think that that goes to what we talked about in terms of getting the word out in as many ways as we can. From our Public Information Officer, Leah Bays, more information on the CARES Act funding specific to Douglas County can be accessed at https://www.douglascounty.gov/CARES-app. So you can go on there and access some more information. And from Mark Wiseman, may I suggest that the county contact John Heaston in regard to getting the word out. He ought to be really good at directing information to your target audience. John is the publisher of The Reader, and I believe we have been in contact with him, and hopefully we'll see something on that platform as well. And finally, Ben Salazar, we have a coalition of Latino nonprofits working with us to provide info to the Latino community, as well as Abriel Garcia from Mundo Latino, Spanish language newspaper. So thank you. We need to move into the second part of this regarding utilities assistance here. So if you have additional questions or information, you can certainly contact me via the Douglas County Board, or go online and submit those via the websites that you're talking about. But
Excuse me, Jim.
yeah,
Commissioner.
who's talking?
Oh, may I comment on?
Larry, we really short on time.
This
but
applies
if you
to
could
bo-
give
this
us
applies
1
to
minute.
both.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead, please. 1 minute, real quick.
I'll wait.
Okay. I'm sorry, but we're trying to get a lot of things done at once, and the second thing that we have is regarding the utilities assistance regulatory discussion, which comes on the heels of the rent assistance, in addition to the $10 million that the Douglas County Board has initially dedicated for rent assistance. An additional $4 million was dedicated to utilities assistance, and I know that we've had great cooperation from our local public utilities who are represented on this call, and I don't know who wants to lead off in their presentation. I know NUD and OPPD have been working closely together, and I've talked to representatives of both organizations, so I'll kind of leave it up to you, utilities folks, to go ahead and give us a quick presentation of how you see us going forward on getting utilities assistance to COVID impacted residents of Douglas County. So I'll throw it open to whoever wants to go first from the utilities.
Good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Lindsay Mulvihill. I'm with Dollar Energy Fund. We are partnering with Omaha Public Power District and Metropolitan Utilities District. So we are, I have a presentation. It's on my screen. I'm going to share it. I'm not sure if everyone will be able to see it.
Yes, we can see that.
You can see it?
That's great.
Okay, so Dollar Energy Fund, just recently, as of May 1st, 2020, we started partnering with OPPD and MUD to manage their hardship program that was already set in place, their energy assistance program. Dollar Energy Fund, we are a registered 501c3. We are based out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but we partner with 45 utility companies across 15 states. We have been managing limited income utility assistance programs for over 37 years. So we are solely focused on utility limited income programs. Like I said, we are celebrating 37 years of experience, and we are one of the largest, longest running fuel funds in the United States. Moving forward, just some quick background information on Dollar Energy. We have granted over $155 million in assistance to limited income families and households. That reaches to over 562,000 households. On average, we process over 30,000 hardship fund applications each year. We partner with gas, electric, water, and sewerage utility. Over the course of 37 years, it's we average right now about $8.5 million in utility assistance each year. So moving along rather quickly, because I know everyone's pressed for time, here's just a quick screenshot of some of the utility partners in the different states. So we're out in California, we're in Nebraska, West Virginia, Pennsylvania. So the community-based organizations, that's our main focus for the hardship program. So we currently have 28 local nonprofit, I shouldn't say nonprofit, but we have 28 partnering community business organizations that are in Nebraska. So we have everyone from, the Salvation Army to community action agencies, local churches, food banks. We recruit and train and manage these community-based organizations so that if a customer who is in need of utility assistance needs assistance, they can go to one of these local places in person or over the phone to submit an application to get assistance. Like I said, we currently have 28 already that are working on the energy assistance programs. We focus on recruiting agencies that provide multiple services. So we have found that folks that need utility assistance also need assistance in other areas, whether that's food or childcare or anything at all. The agencies that we recruit to help manage our program, along with us, have already offered, they offer multiple services. So if someone goes to the local food bank looking for food assistance, we want those agencies to know, hey, you might be needing utility assistance, you might not know of it, but here we'd like to get you hooked up with this program as well. Next is our agency finder. This is a really nice tool that if you are in need of assistance, you can go onto our website, and this link can be used anywhere, but you can put in your address and you can find local agencies that are the closest to you. It gives you the address, the phone number. You can get driving directions. You can figure out the location that is most convenient for you. So again, these agencies play a very, very big part of our folks getting utility assistance. And you can see a couple that we have listed here: the community action, family housing St. Vincent de Paul Society. So that's just a quick, really nice tool that folks can find. And again, if they don't have access to the internet, this can also be used from a smartphone. You can find that you can use this app on a smartphone, or if you're referred to any of these, you don't have if you don't have internet access, you can go in person to one of these local agencies to get the application submitted. The Dollar Energy Fund uses a program that our IT folks wrote about 20 years ago. It's an online web-based portal, so the agencies, if you're a customer in need of utility assistance, you can go to one of the agencies. You'll bring your income documentation, any documentation that you might need to submit, maybe a copy of your previous bill. The agencies will take their information, fax it to a secure location, and then those documents are handed back to the customer so that there never has to be a paper trail or storage of anyone's personally identifiable information. So iPartner, like I said, it has real-time reporting. It's a great tool that we feel that encompasses everything that could be needed. So as long as we know from the utility partner exactly the data that they want to collect, we'll be able to collect that, and then they can pull reports up to the minute reports. So I think this is going to play a very big, important role in getting this CARES Act funding out, because we'll be able to see exactly who these folks are, where they live. Any kind of data that we'll need to report federally will be able to be captured in iPartner. Moving on again to My App. This is a fairly new tool from Dollar Energy Fund. It's a web-based application that allows customers to apply for assistance on their own time and from the safety of their own home. So if you have your own computer, smartphone, or tablet, you can apply for assistance through My App. So this is going to be a very big key, we think, for us with COVID, just due to the uncertainty if agencies are, if their hours are cut back, or if they don't want to see people in person. My App's going to be a great tool so that customers can apply again on their own time. They'll be able to upload their documentation and send it along. They can take a picture of it with their smartphone. They can email it. My App is going to be a great tool. We will have a Spanish version of My App expected September 1st. So we're going to hopefully roll out the launch of My App in the English version August 1st. So that's a very, very quick rundown of our utility assistance program, the energy assistance program that we're already have in place. Would be happy. There's several of us from Dollar Energy Fund, MUD, and OPPD on this call. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to start asking.
Thank you very much. I think the discussion to date, just for those listening in, have revolved around the public utilities, OPPD and MUD, utilizing Dollar Energy Fund as an administrative arm in delivering utility assistance to needy residents of Douglas County. And so we've had ongoing discussions with both utilities, and I appreciate the update from Dollar Energy, Ms. Mulvihill. I think we have OPPD representatives and MUD representatives on this call, and basically the question, like we had with general assistance, is how soon can we get a process in place so that people can apply to receive energy assistance? Where would they apply, and how would they apply? And those are questions that I throw out there to the utility community, and please don't be shy about coming forward and responding to that. We're just trying to get, a timeline on how soon we can get energy assistance to COVID-impacted residents of Douglas County.
If I may speak, this is Mary Sally with Dollar Energy Fund. We could actually begin administering the program tomorrow if we needed to. We have some final guidelines that we need to walk through with OPPD and MUD as far as income eligibility and the maximum amount that a customer might be eligible for. But because we already have a network of agencies on the ground, all we need to do is tell them what those new parameters would be, and they could begin taking applications, like I said, as early as tomorrow. We wouldn't have the online version available until August 1st for customers to apply on their own, but we're ready to go.
Okay. I guess I'd pass it over to our administrative officer, Patrick.
So, do you have the ability to at least temporarily front any of the money so we can do it quicker, and then we could reimburse you? Because I want to make sure that this is all compliant. So we have I assume, and I'll have to talk to the county attorney's office, that we would need to have a contract with either the utilities or with Dollar Energy that has a hold harmless clause in there that has the guarantees that the money will be spent in compliance with the CARES Act. But that couldn't be done until the next county board meeting at the earliest, which is, well, I think like the 28th, whatever that day is, because we don't meet. We meet next Tuesday, but we don't meet the Tuesday after that. So, do you have the ability to? Do you have any money that you can at least start the process in advance of us funding you? That's a question to Dollar Energy.
I guess I'd follow up with, I had discussions with some of our utility representatives on their existing energy assistance programs that do have funds in it, and maybe that could act as a bridge. I don't know if Seth Boyles or Rick Kubat are on this, but if you could talk to that, I think that's where we're looking at trying to bridge this next couple of weeks before we can technically get the county board to approve the process that Patrick's outlining. So, do the utilities have that capacity to help us bridge that gap?
So I'm going to go ahead and jump in. My name is Britton Gable. I'm a senior product specialist at Omaha Power District. And currently, OPPD, I can speak for OPPD. So we currently have energy assistance funds that are available through the Dollar Energy Fund network of community-based organizations that is accessible to our community at this present time, not just Douglas County, but our 13 county service territory. So we are currently serving customers that have been impacted by COVID-19, and we currently do have funding available to continue to serve customers in that capacity until this funding does come through. Omaha Public Power District has generous employees and customers that donate on a monthly basis, so we, through our own energy assistance program, are allocating funds on a monthly basis to serve customers that are impacted in our community, not just by COVID-19, by other situations such as medical, not related to COVID-19, death of family members not related to COVID-19. So with that being said, we do have funding available to help bridge that gap and continue to serve members in our community until Douglas County Board and Dollar Energy Fund can get agreement in place and get that money sent over.
That's great, thank you. Is there somebody from, I'm sorry.
I just want to add one other thing. We are also, as a utility company, we're actively referring customers that would be eligible for the LIHEAP program to ensure that they're accessing that funding source as well, which is the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, the federal block grant that's administered by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. There's another pot of money that we want to ensure our customers are also getting access to help reduce that energy burden cost.
Great, thank you, Mr. Gable. Somebody from MUD on the same question? Is there somebody on the call from MUD regarding the same question?
Hi, this is Megan Murray with MUD, and yes, we also have a pot of money that is administered by Dollar Energy Fund that we are currently helping the community with. Everything that Britton said, we agree. And along the same lines, because I see that this is near and dear to a lot of your hearts, we do help people that, we don't have the guideline that they have to be a US citizen either. So it is, that's absolutely helpful. We are trying to help as much of the community as we possibly can. But I will say that the funds are limited. So that is the difficult part about all of this, and we're hoping that we can get off the ground and running as quickly as possible with the CARES Act money, because we know that the need is greater than what we currently have.
That's super, and thank you, Ms. Murray. If you and our friends at OPPD and at Dollar Energy can circle back with Mr. Bloomingdale and our finance director and work out those details, I think that we got the answer that we wanted, that there is some bridge financing capacity there. The devil's always in the details, but if you could, after this meeting, reach out to them, they'll reach out to you, that would be a big, big help. So thank you for that. And I like what you said about, maybe serving the undocumented community. There's got to be a way to do this, and so we'll work on that together. But I like what you said about that, and that could be a way forward there. Because we're coming up on kind of an hour, which is the flexible deadline for these committee meetings, I would just ask if there's anybody else from the utility community or from Dollar Energy that wants to talk, and then I would throw it open to public questions and answers. Anybody else on the utility front? Very good. If we could get a copy of the PowerPoint that Dollar Energy put forward, that would be helpful. We would add it to our recorded records of this meeting. And it may already be there, I don't know, but we're trying to get that. And I see that we're joined by OPPD Director Rick Yoder. Thanks, Mr. Director, for joining us. You've been a great help on this and speeding this along. We have, struggled with a lot of the procedures on just how to make this happen, and we're moving as fast as we can. But I want to emphasize with people that this is a beginning, not an end. So we're moving from here to additional funds for both of these programs and possible additions to food and healthcare assistance as well. At this point, we throw it open to public comments on energy assistance. Is anybody there on the Zoom call who would like to speak to that?
This is David Corbin. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
David Corbin again, at the Sierra Club. My question is kind of what I referred to before, only with a different slant. Obviously, getting the word out is an important thing, and I looked on both the MUD and OPPD's website. Somebody needs to mute.
I'm sorry, could you say again? I missed the last part of that.
It's getting so much feedback. We're going to work on that. Yeah, just a second. We're going to see what we can do to help you out here.
Okay, there we go. So I looked on the websites today, and there's still crawlers going on, both of them, about or information about late fees, and I'm wondering how the late fees fit in. A lot of those things were talked about at the last OPPD meeting, I know, before this money was available. So I'm hoping that the late fees will not be, that they will be waived as they were earlier. And on MUD, it talked about late fees in, I believe it was July. One of them was in August and one of them is July. If this money gets out the door soon, there shouldn't have to be any late fees, or there should be some sort of grace period because this is taking a while to roll out, so that doesn't happen. And so once again, it's a matter, and then I think Douglas County, because you're setting a precedent for the rest of the state, both OPPD and MUD don't just cover Douglas County, so it's going to be a little confusing to some people about how they can get rental assistance or utilities assistance, and making sure that people know that right now we're talking about Douglas County.
Yes, thank you for that. And as to the late fees, is there somebody from OPPD, MUD that can address that? OPPD, Mr. Gable, perhaps?
Yes, this is Britton Gable, Omaha Public Power District, and so to answer Mr. Corbin's question and the commissioner's question, we are in the process of resuming those late fees as discussed at the previous board meeting. There is potential when customers contact us, though, that they can call us regarding those late fees. There's a process in place with our call center reps to where even though we are going to resume the charge of late fees, that we will waive up to, I believe, 3 additional late fees over the course of a year. That'll be when they reach out to us and our reps work with them. But we are moving forward with the late fees. This assistance will come in. Once this assistance gets the Dollar Energy Fund, it will be a useful tool to really get in front of our customers and to offer them to be able to assist and getting them in a position where they're current on their bill and there's no late fees assessed.
We appreciate that, and I think that the utilities have gone on record saying that they are going to waive any administrative costs of implementing this utilities assistance, and we appreciate that as well. It's, I think in everybody's interest that we don't utilize any of our CARES funds to pay things like late fees. It doesn't make any sense. We want to have 100% of the CARES money dedicated to utilities assistance going to needy ratepayers of the utility. So thanks for that. I don't know if MUD would like to comment as well, but is there somebody from MUD that would like to address this?
Sure. Again, Megan Murray with MUD. Yes, I agree with Britton. We are able to waive late payment fees as well, even though, yes, we have started charging them again. So as far as MUD is concerned, we are not even looking at disconnecting until at least August 3rd for gas, and then we are not going to be disconnecting until at least September 1st for water. And I think both of those dates are pretty fluid if they need to be. And then one more thing that I wanted to address, I see that Ben Salazar asked a question about if there's Latino nonprofits helping in South Omaha. The Latino Center of the Midlands and Catholic Charities Juan Diego Center are both helping and have signed up with Dollar Energy Fund to help administer our funds. So yes, we do have community-based organizations in South Omaha that are helping as well. So
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. So, if there are any other public comments or questions, now would be the time on utilities assistance. Is there anyone else that would like to comment at this time? Okay. I don't know, Mr. Bloomingdale, if there's any wrap-up comments that you'd like to make.
I
at this
previously raised a hand.
Oh, Michael O'Hara, go ahead.
Hello, Michael O'Hara, 6010 South 146th Street. I'm an economist, and I'd like to comment on the purpose of late fees. There's a concept in economics called moral hazard, and if you give something away, you encourage that type of behavior, and that's why we have late fees, to prompt people to pay on time. The pandemic is something they couldn't prevent, so there should be no late fees. I would suggest the county condition its delivery of this assistance to any landlord and to any utility on that landlord and that utility waiving all late fees, because the purpose of the late fee is not being served when they receive the gift from the county of the money. And I'd even go farther and say that for the landlords, that the banks they're dealing with not ding the landlord with late fees if they're going to get this cash flow. Thank you.
That's a very good point. Thank you. I think I saw Kelsey Waldron had her hand up. Kelsey Waldron, did you have a comment? No? Okay. Is there?
Hello, this is Alan Vovoka. May I speak briefly?
Yes, you bet. Go ahead.
I would like to congratulate the county board for deciding to go forward with this. It's a very important thing for our community, and I would encourage speed in making this assistance available, because if utilities actually do shut-offs, that increases the risk of transmission of disease as people go into houses and have direct contact with people. We need to keep that in mind. Our job here is to make sure that we minimize this spread, flatten this curve, and eliminating shutoffs in whatever way we can is going to help in that effort. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know if there's anyone else on the screen that would like to speak. I know that we have one citizen here that would like to speak, so if there's no one else, Michael O'Hara has his hand up. Is that from before? Michael O'Hara?
Yes, that was before. Thank you.
Okay. Larry, do you have a comment?
Yeah, thank you, Jim. I want to thank you particularly for your common sense questioning of the whole process here. But I'm a homeowner. I'm a Douglas County property taxpayer. I'm also a community partner. I'm also retired. And there are some of us that need assistance even though we don't pay rent. So I'm opposed to some of this because you seem to have it particularly slanted only to rent payers. I understood that the money was supposed to go to the landlords first of all, but anyway. There's lots of community partners here that are speaking out and wanting to get the money to help get this distributed. Most of the time I can hear what's going on and what's being said. I can hear Jim very well and most of the people on the screen, but people here in this room, as often, they're hard to understand because they don't stand up to the speaker, the microphones. So there's a lot of questions going on about, boy, the common sense of this whole discussion is we really don't know what we're doing. We don't know whether it's federal rules or it isn't federal rules. And we are not quite clear as to whether we're skirting the rules or we're not skirting the rules. Are we slipping something under the rug that shouldn't be? Just common sense questions that citizens like me don't get a chance to ask. And I want to add that I'm quite ashamed of our local media. I don't think our local media is helping in this whole process. I don't see anything in the World Herald, which I read every day. I'm about to stop paying for it. I don't hear it on a lot of our local media on the news. There were a couple of references about the reader. I will compliment the reader that I have learned a lot of the stuff going on from them. However, I don't know that they're the only factual organization in this county. I don't know whether anybody has ever asked to check their facts. Ordinary citizens like me, their facts don't seem to be very important. So I think what Jim is doing here is very good because he is forcing some of the people to come out and try to be more forthcoming with what is going on. So please continue that process. But don't forget that people that are retired, that are paying property taxes, or maybe being discriminated against because you're concentrating only on renters. Yes, renters maybe pay property taxes indirectly, but show me the damage. Now, some of us on retirement or disability also suffer damage and can't pay the mortgage or the utilities because of COVID. Now, how are we going to prove that to you people? Because you're so centered on renters only? I'm sorry, that needs to be part of the debate here. And in the next 2 weeks, if it doesn't keep getting put down the road. But that's what we elected you people for. Yes, I delegated that responsibility, but I am expecting you to take care of it and in a logical, very transparent way. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. I don't know if there's anyone else on the Zoom call that would like to speak, but we're pretty much running out of time here. And so if not, I would thank you all for participating. I really want to thank all of our community partners, the public utilities, the not-for-profits, the concerned citizens, who have stepped up to help us get this rent assistance and utilities assistance up and running as soon as possible. We're working hard on this. We know that time is of the essence, and so we will continue to press forward to make sure that the CARES assistance that has been here for now over 3 months arrives to help needy people as soon as possible. That's our goal. That's what we're working for, and we will continue to do that. Without any other comments, I would thank everybody for participating today in the Douglas County Health and Human Services Committee hearing on rent assistance and utilities assistance from the CARES Act. Thank you all, and please stay well. We're done.